All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. Let everybody get settled in. Just so you know, if you're just signing in, that we are recording this meeting for your future watching pleasure.
And we're going to give a few minutes for people to log in and join, and then we're going to get started.
Hi, Matt. We see you. Billy. We see
Hi,
Billy.
Kay. Hi, Julie. Hi, Rhonda.
I'm Matt.
Hi. Thanks for dropping in. Hi, Billy.
Hi, Shannon.
Hey, Matt.
Hi, Michelle. Hi, Lila. Do I know you?
It's
I'm
Barbara
Monica.
Bye.
What's that? Oh, your thing says Lila. Like, who is that?
The granddaughter used it in
Oh, they
Oh, it's bye.
I love it. We should know. Now we know. And hi, Nick. I don't know you either, I don't think. Or maybe I just know who you look like, but I don't know your name. Michelle, nice to see you.
Did that work? Did my video turn on?
Ooh, let's
It's
see.
on.
Yeah, there
I
you
see your
are.
face.
I wondered who you were. Now we know who you are. Hi, Nick. How are you?
Hello. I just got 2 minutes left on my brownies. Real excited.
Oh my gosh. Keep an eye. Keep an eye. I think I met your neighbor with the German Shepherds today. Yeah, the other
Oh,
day.
nice.
Yeah, that's I think the first time I ever got to talk to him. It was really neat.
With a puppy?
Yeah, he's got a new one, he said.
Yeah, that puppy is adorable.
Isn't it great? Yeah,
Oh.
that's a nice looking animal, I think. He's so like his conformation is beautiful and he's a really nice looking dog.
Oh.
Keep an eye on your brownies, so we don't need to gossip all this.
What?
Dog gossip is the best gossip.
Gossip, dog
Always
gossip.
good to
I
track
know, right?
new puppies in the
Hi,
neighborhood.
Diana. Oh, Craig did come. All right. Hi, Craig. Craig's a town hero now.
What good thing did Craig do this time?
Craig helped find that lost man.
Oh, did he?
Mhm.
Oh, wow. I did see that.
Yeah. And he also tried to fix my heater. Even more amazing. He
Is it
crawled
fixed now?
into my dank crawl space and tried to help me get the heater going.
Do you have heat yet?
Yes, I was able to find a service person who came over at 9 o'clock at night. He was so busy, but he came by and he fixed my heater for me.
Oh, thank goodness.
I know. I'm sure we need to record that for the future. I'll put his card up for anybody that wants to know him. He's a really nice guy. You can advertise him. Love it.
I'm going to ask everyone as you come into the room, we do want to see your beautiful faces, but we ask you to mute yourselves. And we're going to get started here in a few minutes. And what I would like to do is as we go through each slide, we will pause to handle a few questions, but we don't want to get down any rabbit holes because we have a lot to do and we'll leave a lot of room at the end of the presentation as well for Q&A. So I feel like we should just go ahead and get started, Kay, don't you think?
Sure.
Yeah. And for those of you that just joined, we are recording this and you should have received a notification on your computer as such.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I just wanted to welcome everyone tonight and thank you for joining us to another virtual town hall with Highland Park Improvement Club. My name is Rhonda Smith. I'm the board president. And we've got our mission here because I think sometimes that can get lost. And I just want for everyone to take a moment and read through that. I'll read it out loud. To enhance the quality of life in the neighborhood by providing an inclusive gathering place, hosting neighborhood programs that celebrate the diverse cultures we represent, and fostering community engagement today and for the future generations to come. And, you know, as we sit here and we talk about the fact that we actually don't have a place to meet, it's just more and more important to us that we do find a way to rebuild and to have that place once again. So I'm gonna Go to the next slide. Okay,
Thank you. And we'd also like to thank and acknowledge the Duwamish tribe, our neighbors down below us on the hill here, and probably up here too. We acknowledge that we are on Indigenous lands, the traditional territories of the Coast Salish people. And we've been really lucky to have their support in our rebuilding process. So we wanted to be sure to let everyone know, if they don't, about the real rent opportunity that they have, which you can learn more about at the link on the screen. Okay, that's so thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
we're going to dive right into the rebuild project, and I'm going to hand it over to Kay and Matt, and Billy if he has something to contribute as well.
So Matt, this is a little unscripted. So basically we just sort of have been hoping that let's let this couple of people in here. We're sort of looking at, I realized when we put together this presentation that it's been almost over a year since we had our last town hall. And really, the bulk of the time has been spent in intense interaction with between you and our SDCI friends, trying to figure out how to make this building project happen. So maybe you could talk about the process, like what we've had to go through a little bit, not in huge detail, and maybe any updates, if like by some miracle, the MUP was published today.
Sadly, no, but yeah, thank you,
Eh,
Shay.
uh-huh.
And yeah, thanks everybody for joining. I'll give a just kind of quick overview of what we've been doing the last year. So we got approval from the board for the design and developed the drawings to a level that the builder Metis gave a pricing number and had the engineering of the building to a point where the city could then review it. So we have two permits in motion in the city. The first one is the building permit, and that is being processed by the city. And the second one is called the master use permit, or a MUP. And basically this added a significant amount of time because the city planners had various comments about the building regarding to probably like three major categories. One is the historic nature of the building was built closer to the alley and the sidewalk than what the planners currently allow. So the planners have to navigate that. The second one is the parking, the number of parking stalls. The city is a kind of what we call a car first city. So they want a lot of cars, a lot more cars than we're proposing. So there's a whole process to for the planners to allow us to build the building with fewer car parking spaces. And then the third one is the Department of Transportation. So the Seattle Department of Transportation was asking for some changes to the driveway and access, which also were contrary to the safety and kind of goals of the access point. So those three things involved many months of traffic studies and drawings and reviews with the city planners. The good news is, we've been going through several rounds of review, and while nothing's guaranteed, we're fairly confident that the MUP will be approved. It's currently in its final issuance, so they don't need any more documentation from our team. They told us in the next weeks, so it could be this week. I haven't seen anything. It could be next week, but we're fairly optimistic by the end of January that there'll be a decision on the MUP, and we're very hopeful that the decision will be approved, and then we can proceed to the building permit. And at that point, we'll turn it back, to Kay and the team to talk about fundraising. So, anyway, I'm happy to answer any questions about that. I know there's been some uncertainty about the permitting, and now we're at the point where soon we'll have confident answers that the city will allow the building to proceed as drawn.
And it's kind of hard for us to see when we're sharing screen if you raise your hand or anything. So feel free to just yell out if you have a question. And I'm checking to see if we see if anybody's got their hand up.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on it, Kay, too. So
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And I think one thing to add to the red arrow there, we submitted the permit set, and from the architect team and engineering team, we're sort of coming close to the end of our work in terms of a set of documents and an investment of time and money to get a design that can be built. So the good news is the time has been well invested, and we now have a good set of documents and a builder on board. So once we get the green light from the city, then the next step will be the only thing standing in our way will be scheduling, fundraising, just kind of making it happen. We'll know that it's allowed, and we're happy to see this next milestone coming up soon.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I'm asking the question on behalf of, I think, people that are not in the know. Do you have any sense of how long the building permit process will take? And then can you also address about the timing on the demolishing of the building?
Yes. So the building permit is in motion. So it's been submitted, and we have our set of comments back, which were mostly the same comments that the MUP has been addressing. So once we have the MUP decision, then we can respond to the comments. I would estimate if we move quickly, if we get the MUP decision in January, we resubmit the building permit in February. I would hope that we could have a building permit best case scenario by like maybe March, March, April, we could have a building permit issued.
Okay.
So
And
by
then-
the spring, I could see definitely a permit issued, and then the demolition, I think, is maybe contingent on timing. I think once we have the building permit issued, my understanding is that then that clears the way for the demolition. Then it's just a question of what makes sense for the construction timing.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions before we move to the next slide? All right, Shannon, you want to talk about the past and the future?
Oh, yeah. So we have been working on, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, just how we describe HPIC to our community, to potential funders. And we want to share just kind of some of our key highlights, talking points with you all. So, we're really looking at this as a way of connecting the past 100 years to the future. In our case for support, we talk a bit about the past and how HPIC was, kind of came from the grassroots, came from a group of neighbors coming together to have a meeting place and a dance hall, so they could work together to solve civic issues as well as just have fun gathering together. The building evolved over the century that it existed, and in that way, it served generations of neighbors, and we have a really community-centered neighborhood because of HPIC as a hub. And so it has, as all of you know, hosted community gatherings, arts and culture events, sewing and craft circles, group meetings, small-scale economic development efforts like bazaars and mercados. And so as we look to the future, there's many aspects of those roots that we want to make sure are carried forward. So community members continue to work and play together. We volunteer together, and we also kick back and enjoy live music, share our talents and learn together. I think in the future, as we have, and in the future, just continuing to have this be a place where neighbors have ideas, and then they have a space to bring those ideas to fruition. So sharing their gifts and talents and forging lifelong friendships, grounded in having this space to gather. And we know, especially with the pandemic, that times are changing, the world is changing rapidly, and it's really important for us to have trusted relationships, community, and connection in our neighborhood, and our ability to respond flexibly to any new challenges that emerge is pivotal and life-sustaining, and helps us have a really resilient community. So that's kind of high level how we're talking about HPIC, and hopefully that resonates with you and what you know HPIC to be. We have a kind of much more detailed description of our case for support, which we're still just putting our kind of final touches on, and then we'll start sharing that with potential donors. But if you do have comments, or if there are pieces that you want to make sure that you feel are most compelling about what HPIC has been and what it has the potential to be in the future, we would love to continue to refine this and make sure that we're telling the story of HPIC as fully and compellingly as possible.
Thank you. Does
Did
anyone
Sean
have?
have a question? I
Yeah,
think Sean
I
raised
think
his
Sean
hand.
has a question. I saw him raise his hand.
No, that was an accident. Sorry. I'm trying to figure out. I was trying to navigate Zoom. Sorry.
Okay.
I lowered it immediately as soon as I realized I did. Sorry. I also can't make my camera work. Sorry.
Okay.
All right.
Anyone else have any questions before we move to the next slide? Okay. Shannon, do you want to talk about this as well?
Sure. So our case for support, so we've been working with some consultants on kind of what does it take to raise the amount of money that we need to raise to build this building. And so they have shared that usually an organization would have a case for support that describes the compelling story of what HPIC is and will be. It'll actually show what our budget is and how we plan to operate in the future. And so we've been working on that. We've also been in a little bit of a holding pattern because the master use permit put us in a little bit more limbo than we had expected. We wanted to make sure that the city gave us permission to build the building that we would be showing potential funders before going out and soliciting additional grants and funding. So now that we're pretty sure that the MUP is going to be granted, and we're pretty close to having that case for support nailed down, is when we're going to start actually approaching funders. And we've continued to do research on grantee or grant makers, and we'll just be putting kind of full speed ahead all efforts into our fundraising. And it is an area where having a kind of as broad of a network as possible will be really crucial. So if you have ideas of people who may be interested in supporting a community-based organization like ours, please let us know, and we can continue to work with our consultants to do some outreach and hopefully attract additional donors to this project. I don't know, Julie, if you want to speak to the fundraising status, just these different dollar buckets, or I'm happy to if you prefer.
You mean just go through all the, well, we have our insurance, and I mean, you can see on the screen, when the building's rebuilt, we will get $250,000 more. And then we've got our donations from the community that happened right after the building burned, which was amazing. And our 2 grants from the state. I believe that one follows the other. And as noted below, the total of those grants can only support 1/3 of the cost of the building. So, but we know the building is going to cost more than $900,000. So, and then the building boosters are coming along, and that's been great. And we've gotten a bunch of more donations as well. So then when we start fundraising again, I think it's going to be a different situation, because we will have, I don't know, maybe more people in the West Seattle area in general that we can reach out to, that we just are getting our case together before we can reach out to more donors. But we are still working on that, and hopefully we will be ready to do that pretty soon.
Yeah, thanks.
Any questions from the attendees before we move to the next slide?
Monica, are you raising your hand?
So if we have some names of some potential donors, you said that we should give them to you. So who do we send those names to?
Send them to hpic1919@gmail, and then we'll route those to our fundraising consultants and and get them
Thank you.
connected. Yeah, thank you. As I guess I didn't kind of mention the headline. So we do have a fundraising goal of 3.7 million. And as you can see, we do have about 1.7 million already raised. So we are looking to raise an additional $2 million to be able to build the building. Once we have 2.7 million total, we can start accessing the building for the arts grant. Maybe not, actually. Sorry.
Yeah, we need to find out what the eventual estimate is going to be for the building, and that's still being worked on too, with some value engineering and stuff like that. But we should be getting that together soon too, is once we find out about the MUP too. So
Yeah, actually, we maybe could have spoken to that with the first slide. So we had our initial estimate from Metis, and we are looking at ways of bringing costs down and doing this value engineering to try to bring our overall needed funds to the minimum needed to actually get the building built and doors opened. Obviously, so we can start serving the community again, and also so we can start accessing our Washington state grants as soon as possible, because as Julie said, it's like they'll fund up to 1/3 of the building. So if we can have a cost around 2.7 to get the doors open, we would be able to start using those funds. So just there's a lot of moving parts, but we're tracking those, and of course now just trying to get the additional money in the door.
yeah.
Any
I have
other?
a question.
Yeah.
Okay, my question is, when we give the names to you and you give them to the fundraising consultants, what will the fundraising consultants do with the names?
Yeah, so you can kind of give us notes on kind of what kind of a donor this is. The idea with the conversations that our consultants, so our consultants are named Becca and Katie, and they're with RJZ Consulting, and they are kind of there to have some conversations and make the ask if we are uncomfortable with approaching a donor and making an ask. So they do this professionally. They can share our case for support as representatives of the organization and start having that conversation of, here's this project, here's the organization. Is this something you're interested in? How much money would you be willing to give towards this project? So they can have that conversation, but if there are sensitivities around the name, the people or the referrals that you're making, you can also let us know that, and just if it is something that you want to do and you want to make the ask, like we don't have to go through the consultants. They're there as a resource for us. So I guess, yeah, we can have that conversation too.
Well, I'm glad I asked. Thanks.
Yeah.
That was a good question. Thank you, Nikki.
Yeah. Thanks, Nikki.
Yeah.
Thank
Also,
you.
I'd like to add from the building angle too. I feel we've really been grappling with some, maybe, I don't know if Billy Stoffer wants to even address this, but since this project unfortunately had started, like building costs have pretty much doubled in our city here, and so we're chasing something that it seems kind of elusive, but we're really working on ways to bring down the costs, because I feel like that's one reason why the club has been able to be sustainable through the years, is by keeping things as affordable as possible. And that's personally one of the things I really strive for as a trustee. And there's ways to donate into the work without, if you don't have funds too, because we are working to try to get materials donations, or certain tasks or things could be donated. So there's other ways to think about a donor than just someone with a deep checkbook, if you know what I mean. Maybe Billy can elaborate just slightly.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kay.
Sure.
Any other additions or questions? Okay, I'll move on to the next slide. One of the things that we wanted to talk about tonight was about board elections. And, you know, this is kind of like the dry part about everything. It's like, it's not exciting about, you know, building a building, but actually it's really exciting because this is a chance for you guys that are on the call and people that you might know that could get involved and help, you know, be on the board and help drive not only this rebuild for the building, you know, do the fundraising, but also really be out there connecting with, you know, the community and, you know, helping us build partnerships with, to develop the programs. And it's really going to take all of us to do this. And so that's why, you know, we listed along the left there, here's the current positions opened, secretary, treasurer, vice president, and trustees. We have had some people step off the board recently, and then we've got some shuffling of board members. For those of you that received the newsletter, I think that was communicated in more detail. And then the current experience we're looking for are people that actually have experience doing fundraising. We've got 2 board members right now that are doing a pretty good job of grant writing, and we could use some more help, as well as anybody that has experience doing capital campaigns, which is like fundraising to build buildings, right? Or to invest in, you know, commercial types of projects, which is it is. Marketing and communications is another area that we really could use a lot of help. Financial planning and management, community engagement, like I mentioned, strategy and program development. I think that's a great set of skills that we could really use to help us, you know, envision the future. And then overall business development. So these are very professional level types of skills and experience that we're looking for because we're in this phase where that's what we need right now. If you think about like all of the times that we were at HPIC before the pandemic and also before the building burned down, we were very operationally focused. We did a lot of events and we hosted a lot of things and we supported other people hosting things and rentals and whatnot. And we'll do that again when we reopen, right? But right now we're in kind of a business development and capital, you know, fundraising mode. So those are the kinds of experiences and expertise that we're looking for. Shannon, I don't know if you wanted to touch base on any of this or the process.
Yeah, I mean, I just think about this, what we have as qualifications to be a board member. Kind of on the technical side, being a paid member of HPIC is important. And it is great, obviously, if you bring some of the skills that we need at this point in time. But I think kind of the biggest thing is people who are excited and willing to get involved. Who are collaborative, who kind of see the heart of HPIC and really want to participate in making this kind of helping this organization come back to life. And maybe in a way that is, you know, very, you know, again, holds on to those grassroots of what HPIC has been, and also is looking at kind of what are the current needs of our community and how will we best fulfill those. So if you have, you know, a heart for this kind of service, and, you know, ideally some of those skills, we would really love to have you join, or if you know anyone else in the neighborhood who, you know, may be a good candidate, and has kind of a vision for helping us have this really, you know, fun and resilient community, definitely send them our way as well. So we do have a small nomination committee. So that's myself, Rhonda Smith, and Ben
Mhm.
Nora.
B.
Nora
Thank
and
you.
Fedora, huh?
Um, and so we're meeting tomorrow just to kind of get oriented to our process. And then if there are people who want to step forward, or if you want to nominate someone, we'll be talking with them about what it means to be a board member or a trustee of HPIC from now until the 14th. And then if they do want to, then we'll share any of those potential board members with the board at the February meeting. And then there will be a vote on new board members on March 13th. So that's the process. We do normally in our bylaws have a requirement that you volunteer for HPIC for 2 years before getting involved as a trustee. But because of COVID and the fire and our kind of more limited opportunities for volunteering, we've waived that for this set of elections. To kind of widen the number of people who may have moved into the neighborhood and want to get involved, and just kind of remove one of the barriers to getting involved. Because right now it feels like a good time to get in and help shape our future vision.
Any questions or comments? And I don't have the ability to see raised hands.
I have a question.
Okay.
So under current experience needed, these positions are in addition to the open positions, correct?
No, so look at it. We have a secretary position, a treasurer position, a vice president, and then trustees, which are honestly at large. And so these capabilities could fit into these roles. Does that make sense?
Yes, and so these positions have to be filled by someone who's been volunteering for 2 years, correct?
Well, like.
No, we just waived that requirement.
Oh, okay, because I just keep thinking of all the new people that have moved into the neighborhood.
Right.
Not experienced the club.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's a way to get this information out on like the Highland Park social media Facebook page, or some way to connect with those people.
Okay.
Because I think there's people I don't even know, young families that have moved into the neighborhood. I think it would be cool to somehow connect with those people. But believe me, I'm not a social media genius, but there's someone that might be willing to get involved here that would know about this, what we're doing here.
I think one thing is the board took a look at that. That is part of the bylaws, that requirement that you have a certain level of involvement with the club in the past.
Yeah.
And because we are in such an unprecedented situation with COVID, we were closed for 2 years, and now we don't even have the facility available. So that's been a really hard ask to find people, to do that level. So we felt it was prudent to suspend that requirement. So we suspended that requirement for 2-year period, and then it will drop back in at a certain period of time once the building is up and running. But at this time, it's more critical that we just get as many people involved as possible, I believe. Because like you're saying, there are new people that might be interested. That's great. They'd be welcome. I mean, we do ask you to be a member, but that is a low bar. If you need to borrow $20 from me to pay your membership, just let me know. I'll put my email in the chat and I'll get it to you. But I feel like we do have room on the in the bylaws to have more trustees than we actually employ now. We wrote it up at certain points, so more people would be able to get involved. And I don't know if we've ever reached full capacity on the board according to those bylaws. But yeah, I say more the merrier at this point.
Like some sort of a very casual kind of open house at the corner store.
Mm-hmm.
When the weather is a little nicer or something, to kind of, hey, here's what's going on. I mean, we always seem to like piggyback on some other event at the corner store, and I think it would be kind of interesting to see. It'd have to be on a nice day. People showing up on a weekend or something for coffee. Just, oh, by the way, that burnout building, there's something that's actually going to happen there, and just do a little outreach sort of thing.
Those are great suggestions, Monica. Thank you.
Yeah, and I guess I'll say, because I don't know everyone who is currently on this call, but just to emphasize that HPIC is a very unique organization in that it is owned by the members. So when you become a member of HPIC, you actually are a kind of part owner of that property and facility. And the intention of that is that it's really owned locally by our community and it's owned collectively, managed and operated collectively. So when Kay says getting the most people involved as possible, I mean, that's really what we mean, is that this is something that is actually ours, very collectively. And like, we would love to make sure that the board feels really representative of the entire neighborhood, and that people who have an interest in helping build our community see themselves in HPIC and feel like they can get involved. Right now, getting involved as a board member or a trustee is like a really great way, because we're kind of heads down, really active on, again, this fundraising and kind of what the future programming and offerings of HPIC will be. So it's a time to like add your passion and creativity to what kind of organization we become. And then of course, having these like technical skills is really helpful as well. But it's like, I think the most important thing is that we continue to cultivate the sense that HPIC is ours, and it's you know, owned broadly, and it's for us to use to build a strong community and connections. So I would just, you know, love to see more people get involved in kind of whatever way or capacity you have at this time.
Can I just add one thing for those of you that don't know this or need to be reminded? Who owns HPIC? You guys know? Anybody want to answer? That's not on the board. Anybody have the answer to that?
We
Membership.
sure do.
Well, not okay. Who owns HPIC?
Community.
The members.
We do.
Yep.
Hey,
So make sure that you renew your membership or become a member, so that you have an opportunity to vote in the upcoming elections. It takes every single one of us. It takes every single one of us to do what we're trying to do right now. So I just wanted to let you guys know that, because I don't think everybody knows it. A lot of times people go, they this and they that. I'm like, they is you. They is you.
Yeah.
You own this too.
Nick, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah. Is there a way to check if my membership stayed active? I couldn't even tell you.
If you log into the membership webpage, and it says renew, then renew. Otherwise, if it doesn't say that, then you're current. Does that
All
make
right,
sense?
I will check that out.
I
Yeah.
dropped that link into the chat too, Nick, because this is a common problem for me too, right? Like, I think they emailed me, but who knows, right? So I had actually lapsed and I had to go in and renew our household. It's a little clumsy because we're not, we're not kind of web gurus, but it is to do. Just logging in through the website, HPIC1919.org, and then going to the membership tab.
And if anybody has any problems with that, just email the club to the HPIC1919 Gmail and ask, because we can look ourselves too.
Julie can make it happen. Yeah. And our neighbors too. We can invite all of our neighbors.
So any other questions? Okay, well, I'm just going to go to the next slide, which is this, Kay. I wanted you to.
Yeah, my favorite quote, right? This is it. So we built the building in the past by piecemeal, and now we're going to build a new building, and then we're going to get to live in it, and it will help us build our new communities. So I just encourage everyone to jump in, and this is a great time to get your feet wet. For people who are unaware of the history of the building, at a certain point in the middle of the 2000s, the the building was almost lost to the community because of people not getting involved. And I don't fault the community so much as just the people not knowing about it, people not really realizing or seeing the opportunity here. But we actually own property, as Virginia Woolf says. We have a room of our own, and we can use it in any way that we like. And that is so invaluable for building community, for doing just a simple, meeting or exercise class or just like garden. It doesn't matter what people in the future want to do. But if we lose this space, there's no going back. We'll never be able to replace this, this legacy that we hold. So if you're at all inspired, by just that idea of holding things in common and sharing them out together, I'd sure encourage you to try to step onto the board for a while. It'd be great. Try to cycle people through so we don't all get too burnt out, but it's really a great opportunity, I think. And fun. It's really fun, I want to say.
That takes me to the
I
next
love
part.
it.
So
I
here's
really
some
love it.
pictures. Here's some pictures from what we've done just in the last few months. We've figured out a way how to be in the community, in partnership, with, to the left, those wonderful art pieces that are hanging on the fence, that partnership with Nepantla. And then the partnership with King County and the corner store to do that wonderful Trick or Trees event. And then what did we do at the end of the year? We did that wonderful New Year's Eve parade that, ended in Riverview Park, and that fire performance. We have a lot of cool people that live in this community that want to do fun things. And we're doing it because we want to do it. So we're just asking you to become a member and to join us.
Super.
So
Do you want to take the share down, Rhonda, in case
Yeah.
the general discussion time might
Got
be
it.
on?
You got it.
Thanks.
Hi, can I ask a question real quick? This is Nicole. I'm with Sean.
Hi, Nicole.
Listening on this.
I
Hey,
love it.
thank you for the meeting. Definitely a great amount of information that was shared. I have a couple questions I tried to ask earlier, but didn't get my finger on the unmute button early enough. When we talked about like our fundraising goals, our total, I have a question. Does that include like what we spent to date for like designs and all the preliminary work? Is that like part of that total? And we have, so that's my first question.
Yeah, that's part of the total.
Okay.
Yes, well, yes and no, because my understanding is the 3.7 originally was just to build the building, and it's another approximately 500,000 to do all the professional services fees, which we've spent some already with Whitman and Estes and going through the permit process. So, right?
No, I think that budget that we have is includes that all the design and permitting as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. It's that we're looking at 3.7 as our middle of the road full package to open the doors. Yeah.
What was your other question?
Well, yeah, thank you for that. So just to play back what I heard, 3.7 is our total. We've raised like 1.7. We've spent some of that to date, but okay, just making sure I was tracking on that correctly. My other question is, I'm just curious on what our carrying costs are right now with the building, right? Because if I remember correctly, or I've heard it correctly, like we're being penalized for having an ugly building on the property, right? And so, and I know we can't knock it down until certain things are met. And I appreciate a little bit more on the timeline of that, but like, what are penalties that we're incurring, our regular operating costs that we have right now? Does that include, like, do we still have to pay property taxes and all of those things? I'm just curious.
We right now we don't have property taxes, but we still have to pay the surface water management fees for that. That's just always, you have to pay that. And the vacant building fine is, I can't really track exactly how they're doing that because I don't pay it every time because I'm like, well, but it's about $500 every time they inspect it, which is not monthly. So it's added up to, I can't remember exactly how much money right now, but several $1,000s. Yes.
So we have expenditures without any income, yes.
Yeah, okay. So we have collective goals to, as soon as we can, like at least get it demolished where it's considered like a more safe space, you know, until we have reached our fundraising goals to rebuild it, correct?
Right. Yeah, we definitely want to obviously not get penalized anymore, and we want to demolish yeah, as soon as it makes sense. And then hopefully we'll be able to, you know, get enough money to start building while we continue to raise the rest of the funds. But we just want to make sure we stage things appropriately. One of the great things about Metis is that they work with small organizations like us. And so they have spoken to their ability to kind of do things in phases. When we have enough money to do this, then they can do that piece and kind of keep track of the pacing of the building with our pacing of bringing in the funds.
Any other questions?
And just to add a few more comments to Shannon's points, that one of the goals we've been working with the board here and Metis is to make this achievable. I know it can seem like a daunting number and a long road. You know, we're very optimistic and confident that we have a path here to get the building open with what we call like the bare bones. So there's the design, which is very comprehensive and has a lot of layers to it, and then there's the base functioning that we believe we can get to, you know, with Metis to get occupancy, and then over time, you know, build out additional pieces with community support.
And as a reminder, when we do demo the building, the demo is going to be done by hand, and we're going to be able to involve the community in taking down the building. So that'll be our first big project, which I'm really excited about.
That'll be fun.
I know, right?
I am enthusiastically volunteering for that.
Bring your sledgehammer.
Oh yeah, I've got a few.
That's good, because I don't think I have one right now, so I might need to borrow one.
Or a sawzall, I don't know.
Both. Well, thanks for that, because I'm a little out of the loop and I wasn't sure what the plan was, and that if we still had kind of a phased approach, because I was curious if we demolish it and then it's going to be vacant for a period of time until we can do anything. I didn't know if we had to like reach our fundraising goals to even start certain things. I was wondering if we had any thought about how to use the space in the interim, but if we're going to demolish it and start working on like a phased build approach where you get occupancy, then that's great, because hopefully some type of occupancy approval will allow us to at least do some of the things that we used to do, like garage sales and allow us to be creative on how we might use the space in a different way, you know, while, you know, we finish out the future state phases. So that's good to hear.
Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts or any questions? Well, I guess I'll just close and thank you so much for joining. I know everyone has a lot going on in their lives, and hopefully everyone was able to find a way to stay warm over these last few cold days. And we're looking forward to seeing each other in person. As you know, the weather makes it harder to do that, but you know, we really miss being together at HPIC in the building and on the site. So just want to wish you well, and always reach out to any of us individually, or, you know, write to the club if you have questions. Like I said, for the board nominations for donors, it looks like Shannon put, you know, the Gmail address in the chat. And then we'll be reaching out to a few people that have already been sent to us to get that board nomination process started. All right, thanks everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, remember,
Thank
nominate
you.
yourself
Bye.
before other people nominate you.
Thanks, everyone. Great update.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye,
Thank you.
Ramon.
Thank you.
Your friend, Nick.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Donna. I'm gonna stop the recording now
Yeah.
somehow. Somehow. Is that?
Nick,
Nick, you gotta be on the board, man. Go pay your
Yeah.
dues.
Oh, already done.
Nice. Look at that. You
Yep.
did it. You were double timing, right?
14 clicks. My password keeper didn't have a saved record, so I just